moment for me. You know how important it is for Brazilian to win at home. You know, if you remember well, Senna was more happy to win in Brazil than to win the championship. You know, so you see how important it is for a Brazilian to win here. It was a very special moment. Not just that time, but even 2008 was a special moment. I mean, I won the race here. You know, I was São Paulo, quickest lap. So we lost the championship not here in Brazil. You know, before. So I think the toughest moment. It was, I mean, definitely the accident was not a great moment, you know, and maybe the race in the Hockenheim 2010.
Who's fastest to put their hand up next then?
Mark Surer, Sky Germany. A question for Mark. Mark, you must be very pleased next year there are no standing starts anymore for you. I hardly remember a perfect start of you. Can you explain us what is so difficult to start a modern Formula One car?
Austin was very good. Austin was a great start. Austin was a good start.
Sadly, the Frenchman behind you got a better start.
That's
then.
right. Yeah. I think that my reaction, first of all, we are not completely in a position like Ferrari with their clutches. We know they have a very, very good start system. So they are stronger than us on the initial. On the
we can change it down for you. Change the flash down.
Yeah. So yeah, our initial starts have not, the initial part has not been always consistent. And then I think my reaction to this inconsistency is not as good as it could be. So when you go for the second lever, when you go for the curves, when you go for the slip control, especially on the Pirellis, with the Bridgestone you could slip the tyre a little bit more and you get no penalty. With the Pirellis, if you slip the tyre a little bit, you lose time. So I think that we've never seen Sebastian go through the row in front either. We are either holding position or losing, and Seb has got the starts just okay because I think he can manage some of the problems. But for me, yeah, it has not, particularly in the last few years. The Bridgestone year, we were fine. 2010 was actually pretty good. But in the last few years, it has not been our strength and has not been a strength of mine. Yeah, so, but I enjoy the starts. I am relaxed on the grid. I could sing a song to the guys. It's not something which when the lights are on, it's a great part of the Grand Prix. And but of course it's a part of the weekend that, if you look at Austin, you know, it's a big part of the weekend that needs to be. Maybe I should have done bike racing, because in bike racing you can overtake, but in Formula One now it's less easy to recover because in traffic with the tires, blah blah blah. It's a big part, and. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. So they're yeah.
Rolling Stars. It's the way forward for next year. Before we continue with our questions from our journalists here, I'm pleased to report that Charles Pic has managed to join us this morning. Thanks for coming along, Charles. We asked Max and we asked Guido about their futures in Formula One. It would be wrong not to ask you about next season and how negotiations are going.
Yeah. Thanks. Sorry first for the delay. I was doing the track work because we had a mistake with the schedule program. So I mean, for next year, I think the logic for me would be to stay in Caterham, but it's not sure, and I think there is still many seats who are available for next year, so I think it's sure for the moment, so we'll see.
I'm impressed, if you've just come from a track walk, that you're able to breathe normally, quite frankly. It's a long way up that hill. At the end,
That's the reason why.
I wouldn't be answering as well as you if that was me. How difficult, though, is it for a driver, and a driver as young as yourself, to be thinking, do you know what, if it doesn't go right with the negotiations, that might be my time in Formula One, and it might have come and gone so quickly?
Yeah, but it's like that every year, no? So at the end, I don't think it's changing a lot. We try to be focused on on the races we are on. So it's Brazil this weekend, and give our best this weekend. Try to get good result for the team, and then we'll see what's happened for next year.
13th or better on the track might help those negotiations along for this weekend, and helping Caterham maybe to 10th in the Constructors' Championship. Guido was saying the team are praying for rain. Do you believe that the shock result is possible even without the rain?
I don't know if it will help the negotiation, but for sure it will help the team, and it's the target. So we'll go for it and see.
Good luck to you. Thanks for joining
Thank
us, Charles. More questions from our journalists, please.
Dan Knutson, Auto Action and National Speed Sport News. Mark, would you like to send a message to Australia and a thank you to the legions of Australian fans that have supported you ever since that first race in Minardi?
Yeah, well, obviously Formula One down there is not the easiest sport to follow, or wasn't particularly when I was growing up. It's always on at the middle of the night. There was no internet, blah, blah, blah. These days it's a little bit more easy to follow. Obviously we've been very, very lucky to have a Australian Grand Prix since '85 in Adelaide, then at Melbourne. So that's a real tonic for our country to follow the best single-seater category in the world. Obviously the pinnacle is Formula One, so they are always happy to have the best drivers and the best teams in the world come down there and compete in Australia, and that's evident with one of the best organised events of the year. So when they have an Australian racing, that's a super bonus, and when they have an Australian obviously challenging for good results, for them it's been a good period in the last few years. So it's been phenomenal, the amount of support that I've had from there. Yeah, not always easy for them to understand the sport at times, but they do what they can, and they're very passionate behind their sporting people. So yeah, I've believed that I've competed in a way which they would be proud of, and yeah, I just want to thank them obviously for all of their amazing messages that I've had over the last few weeks, and especially this week. It's been incredible, and yeah, I look forward to spending a little bit more time down in Oz in the future. I haven't seen a huge amount of my country. I left there as a young lad, obviously, so yeah, looking forward to spend a bit more time down there, having a look around, and I always represented it and was proud to race for Australia throughout my career. So the Australian national anthem and the flag for me was very important, because I always knew it was not often. There's only been 3 race winners, so it's not exactly easy for us to compete at this level and get over to Europe. So yeah, but yeah, it's very special to race for Australia, and yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Mark. Any more questions?
For Mark, already we asked you what are you going to miss now that you're leaving. Is there something you're happy to leave behind? Maybe as journalist.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be leaving if there wasn't things that I'm not happy to leave behind. Obviously, if there's more positives than negatives, then obviously I would stay. So there's more negatives than positives. So for me, it's something that yeah, I want a fresh change, a new chapter in my life. Basically, I'm ready for that, personally and professionally. No, I think obviously the journos have to do their job. Obviously, I have a good relationship with quite a few of them. Also, the photographers for me have been very good for me over the years. Some of the snappers in the room here have been with me for my first test, for example, in Estoril in 2001. So you strike up good friendships with a lot of people, not just the drivers, but other people. Obviously, there's some shit magazines that have to do shit journalism, and that's normal. But in the end, you've got to deal with those as well. So, but in general, it's a good professional tennis match, and that's how we always like to play it. So yeah, so I won't. No, the journos, I don't feel negative about the journos at all. They're doing their job, but sometimes they test you, of course. So yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Few more euros into the FIA swear box there. Thank you, Mark, and apologies for the language. Name of publication and more questions, please.
Luigi Perna, La Gazzetta dello Sport. A question for Felipe. Felipe, considering all, do you think that Ferrari will miss you in future?
I hope. No, I mean, I think, you know, I'm for sure it's not part of my thinking. I mean, just we try to do the best in my career, so I really hope Ferrari can have a good future as well, you know. So I have nothing really to complain, to say. I mean, we have a very good time together, you know, and really, you know, hope I can have a fantastic future, you know, in the different teams, and I hope the same for Ferrari. I mean, it's, you know, I'm having zero frustration in my life, and I think that's the way it is, you know.
Next question, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Ben Edwards, BBC. A question for Max. Max, your thoughts going into this race, chance of finishing every single Grand Prix of your rookie season. Is that something you're really thinking about?
Yeah, for sure. It's something I'm proud of. It's a good achievement so far to have finished 18 races. I think it's broken Thiago's record already of 16, but I'm trying to not look into it. I'm a little bit superstitious, so if you start looking around, I feel like it'll tempt fate. So it's something I'd quite like to keep up. Obviously, if I'm put in the position where I have to really fight as hard as I can to keep that 13th and, you know, screw to keeping it on the track, I'll do whatever I can to keep that 10th. So it'd be nice if I can finish the race on Sunday, but it's not the end of the world if not.
Thank you. More questions, please, ladies and gentlemen. No more? In which case, thank you very much to our 6 drivers for putting up with the hottest press conference room of the season. And if you want a transcript of this press conference, it's available at www.fia.com.